I wanted to talk to Will James about this Tyreek Hill situation.
Tyreek or Tyree?
Tyreek.
You spelled his name wrong.
Oh, don't go by that. Maybe it is Tyree. No, it's Tyreek. Pretty sure. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong.
Leave a comment.
Yeah. So he was pulled over. He was speeding in a construction zone.
Why do you want to talk to Will James about this?
Because he's an NFL guy.
He's a sports
He's
dude.
our sports.
Oh,
He's our sports.
I thought that was Garby.
Isn't he a Miami fan?
I thought Garby
Garby's
was our
MIA.
resident
Garby's
sports
MIA.
expert.
I don't know what's going. We can call Garby, but he's probably
Yeah, let's call
on
him.
Kid Watch or something. But he was pulled over. If you see the full body cam video, the cop is sitting. There's construction cones. I don't know if it was declared a construction zone, but it was like a construction site. Okay, so we're gonna give Will James a call here.
Didn't we have a similar situation like 2 months ago with a golfer? Where the golfer got arrested right before his tee off?
Will James of Must Not Kill. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, that's why you're wearing the
Drew
shirt today.
of Drinking with Drew. How are you doing, man? I'm doing great.
All right. So I wanted to get your take on the Tyreek. Is it Tyreek or Tyree? It's Tyreek with a K.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Some people call him Tyreek, but it's Tyreek Hill traditionally.
Okay.
And yeah, man, I figured that'd be the first thing on the docket.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you about it. I saw the body cam footage. I'm assuming you saw the full body cam video at this point.
I did see the whole body cam video footage. I also saw the breakdown on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gott's podcast. So I've already been down the rabbit hole so many times. I'm curious as to your perspective. Yeah, you know, with your background in law enforcement and private investigation.
While
so-
you were down the rabbit hole watching that video, did you masturbate to it?
No, that's not my particular kink. But you know, some people are actually engaging in such activities based on the internet.
Just wanted to know.
I have a very short synopsis of the situation. Okay, here's what happens when you have hot-headed, egotistical cops who encounter hot-headed, egotistical millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm. You have alpha male versus alpha male, ego versus ego, and who is going to end the show, you know, and that's basically what you saw on Sunday.
At any time, did the guy say, "Do you know who I am"?
No,
I
No,
feel like
he
I-
avoided that. He avoided that entirely. He did make several references. Like once, first of all, I did see that at one point he attempted to roll the window up during the conversation initially while he was in the car.
right.
A lot of people are saying that was a mistake. Debatable, but he would later clarify he was trying to avoid photos being taken, which was not him saying, "Do you know who I am?" But he was trying to insinuate that, hey, you know, I'm a person of some kind of
Right,
status. I
but
don't want my photo being taken.
I understand his excuse for that, and I'm not saying it's not a proper
Were there
excuse.
people
but
around to take photos?
Yes,
you
he was a
should-
block from the
you
stadium.
should have
Okay.
somehow, I don't know if it would have even been possible, but somehow communicated that to the cops. Like, hey, man, I don't want my photo to be taken or people to videotape me. The communication.
I'm pretty sure he attempted to communicate that, but they approached him with some hostility, right
for
off
sure,
the bat that
for
they
sure,
were all about
for
it.
sure. Yeah, and I'm not
What
again
was he pulled over for
egotistical.
originally, though?
Speeding, reckless driving.
And at one point, I heard one of the cops say something to the effect of, as they were pulling him out of the car, they asked him, "Is this your car?" So they didn't realize until after they had already pulled him out who he was. So they
Right.
just assumed here's an African American male and a McLaren, which is statistically not likely. So that, they probably assumed the worst, like, oh, it's a stolen car, and oh, we're gonna get
I don't think
But then when
that's
they
the
found
case.
out, their tune changed once they found out who he was.
I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think cops at this point understand that black people can be millionaires. I don't think,
Especially when he's right at the stadium.
I don't think we're going that old school with it. I just think it's, hey, you're doing 90 miles an hour in a construction zone. And I don't know if you saw that part of the video where there were construction cones and the guy's a motorcycle cop and he's like a traffic
Correct.
a traffic guru.
Sorry to interrupt you, but my latest understanding of the case is that there was a visual confirmation of 65 degrees
Right,
miles an
okay,
hour.
That's fine. I don't
So
know the
they
difference.
didn't even
but-
clock him. They didn't get an exact speed on him. So there's not even confirmation of how fast he was going.
Okay, but with that being said, they stopped him what was originally said for reckless driving. When you use the word reckless driving, you're insinuating that it's a criminal offense because reckless driving is a crime. Careless driving is a civil infraction. So
Reckless is over like 30 over the speed limit or something?
There's nothing. What reckless driving means that you have a willful and wanful intent to cause harm with a vehicle. Okay, so you can either by culpable negligence or by just ignorance or by willful and wanful attempt or intent to cause a disregard to the safety of others around you or yourself.
Any speeding in a construction site may be
but I haven't heard anybody say it was a construction site. I just saw cones in the camera. So
probably because it was a block away from the stadium.
Traffic control.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That area specifically, like there's nothing there but the stadium and like maybe a little strip mall. So the traffic was definitely being controlled for the game.
Right.
I tried the strip at the mall one time. It did not go over well.
Yeah, I mean, so I think his attitude had a lot to do with the results. And I think the cops, obviously, very hot-headed, 4 against 1 with the attitude. But then you had his buddy step in, and that didn't go well either. So I just think it was the perfect
his
storm.
teammate stepped in, and then he just attempted to make sure that everything was okay. Which obviously you probably don't want to approach a situation like that. But then ensuing was that his teammate was being given 3 different contradicting commands by the cops. One was telling him to leave, one was telling him to stay.
Right.
So he was trying to comply and was, because they were all not organized with each other, like you said, hot-headed, it just resulted in further confusion and escalation. And these officers are supposed to be trained in de-escalation, and I did not see any de-escalation in that video.
Well, those cops, I can tell you right now, just based on their attitude and their age, they're old school cops that were probably started in the 90s and probably maybe even the 80s. That type of cop mentality is what they're trying to kind of, I guess, move out of. You don't see a lot of verbal judo from those type of cops, especially traffic cops where all they do is write tickets.
Right.
But I guarantee you, if Tyreek would have said, here's my license, kept his window down, he probably would have got an extreme verbal warning, and that whole thing would have been over in 3 minutes.
Even if he got a ticket.
Well, I doubt he would have even gotten a ticket because
take the ticket and go.
They would have realized who he was. I mean, like, all right, man, take off. But
yeah, and the general consensus is that he definitely did not perform perfectly in the situation, but even the level of like ego hot-headedness that he displayed, the ensuing reaction was definitely unwarranted. Like, and he ended up saying in his post-game press conference, "What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? What if I wasn't a name? What if I wasn't famous?"
He would have been in jail.
It could have been another George Floyd, man. It could have been another situation where it's a nameless person.
I mean, I'm not going to say no is never, but I think that he would have been in jail. I think if he wasn't Tyreek Hill, he would have definitely gone to jail.
Who were they playing that
day?
Or
Or he might have been killed. You know what I mean? Like, but obviously that's the most extreme example. But we have seen that. We saw it during George Floyd, and that was someone whose name we didn't even know before we knew it. You know what I'm saying?
Didn't an officer or two from the arrest get put on administrative leave?
Yeah, but that's normal. That's not.
Yeah, one of them has been, but I actually listened to an interview with Tyreek's agents this morning, and they are going to be pursuing some kind of action. They haven't decided what kind. They haven't announced what kind of action they're going to be looking for, but they definitely want some kind of action to be taken beyond administrative leave.
Can we guess what attorney's going to be handling the case?
You go right ahead.
I mean, you guys know more than we do.
There's a prominent attorney that handles all the civil rights cases, so I'll leave it at that.
Specifically with football players.
Not who?
Crump?
Crump, yes.
Crump, not Trump.
I said Crump.
I know, Crump.
Yeah.
The most impressive thing, though, to me, obviously this is, there's some social implications here, but the man returned an 80-yard touchdown after this.
He played great.
And did you see that celebration that he did where he had his teammate pretend to put him in cuffs?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Beautiful.
I mean, he's going to become the winner out of this regardless. He's got the backing of the Dolphins. He's got the backing of the community. He's going to get the final okay. But what you don't realize is by this happening, it means I can drive 100 miles an hour to the Dolphin Stadium and it's okay now because the Dolphins have said that his actions were okay. So I'm gonna
Well,
go to a Dolphins game.
I don't want to speculate that far because again, it wasn't 100 miles an hour. They don't know how fast he was going. They have a visual confirmation of 65, which could mean anything.
That car cannot do 60 miles an hour. I'm just saying, like that car is doing 100 miles an hour, like in first gear. I don't care, but either way, he was hauling ass. But I don't care. I speed. I'm not saying be a nerd.
No, you don't. Nerd alert right there.
On my motorcycle, I happen to ride a little fast on my bike.
Clarify.
When I'm driving, I'm kind of a slowpoke just because I'm, I've done 187 miles per hour. Okay, I'm not trying to go out there and speed.
Exactly. So, is that the record?
that's my land speed record. Yes. But I'm just saying that if the Dolphins aren't even criticizing 1 ounce of what he did, then they're setting themselves up for failure because they're kind of promoting that egotistical NFL player mentality. So I think they should at least come down and said, well, let's try. And maybe they're going to do that in private, maybe not publicly, but
I would assume in private. But the thing is, though, like if they wanted to make that fine of a point, it kind of takes away from the fact that whatever he did to initiate the stop in the first place, the response was just so overwhelmingly just overstated and excessive. And when we talk about excessive force, like that's the thing they have to come out and condemn because that outweighs whatever speeding was going on. He also got cited for not wearing a seatbelt, I believe, as well.
Okay, but I mean,
they're not going to be like, hey, wear your seatbelt, or don't put your neck and possibly put people in situations to get injured and use excessive force. That's the more important thing.
I just don't agree that it was excessive force. Yeah, they went to the ground. They handcuffed him. The guy's a big guy. Did they kind of do it in an egotistical fuckery way? Yes. They probably should have gave him maybe like 10 more seconds to get out of the car, but excessive force, batons didn't come out. OC spray wasn't used. Tasers weren't used. Guns weren't used.
They didn't draw.
So, I mean, it wasn't it's called just, detaining somebody. Did they have to put him on the ground? No. But if they didn't, would he have let them? I don't know. I mean, those are questions we'll never know. But
he obviously let them because it happened. He didn't resist, but it's still at that point,
right?
4-on-1, and you're an NFL player. You're trained in, let's just call it what it is. The NFL is a combat sport, and so to a certain degree,
if he wanted to throw down,
he showed remarkable restraint.
Yeah, he could have thrown down, but I mean, that would have been real bad.
And he showed restraint. He showed remarkable restraint, and he's even come out and said that he wants unity with the police. He tried to shake the officer's hands after the altercation.
I agree with you 100%. The problem is, and let's go freedom of speech here. His mouth. He should have just shut his mouth like for 10 seconds and he didn't do that. And cops hate that shit. And again, it's egotistical cops versus egotistical millionaires. And that is the perfect storm. He should have just,
you got a point there.
If he would have shut his mouth for 10 seconds and just let it ride, he just probably would have not even gotten taken out of the car. So I don't know. I see issues on both sides. I'm glad it all worked out to a good, if you want to quote that, ending. But I mean, it could have been handled better on both ways. Is my final thought.
Yeah, that's been the general consensus of everything I've read as well. Like it both, spot on.
Okay. All right. I am going to head out. I got to take a pee, so I'm going to end this phone call. I did want to talk to you a little more.
Oh, no Baker Mayfield talk. All right.
I know. I might call you later. I don't know. I just really got to pee so bad. If you want to talk to Laura and Joe, you can do that. But I got to piss. You want to stay?
Your thing. Thank you for having me on. As always, Drew, your support is awesome. As always.
All right.
I'm heading back to an open mic karaoke after that. Catch you later, guys.
All right. See ya.
See ya.